Well, hi there, good evening and welcome to the broadcast. You are watching EBN Prime Edition. Thank you for your wonderful company tonight. We've got quite a bit in store. Let's take a look at stories making headlines. Funeral procession for marathon world record holder Kelvin Kiptum kicks off with burial set for Friday. 3 more deaths recorded in the banditry-prone areas, with residents calling for concerted efforts from the government to tackle the banditry menace. Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition accuses the Kenyan government of imposing punitive taxation, worsening the cost of living for citizens, while criticizing the government's budget policy statement. Well, let's get started. My name is Cynthia Nanjala. Let's take a look at stories making headlines tonight. Now, the leaders of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party, led by Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, have accused the government of Kenya Kwanza for charging excessive taxes, which, according to them, will make the cost of living more difficult for Kenyans. Quoting the 2024-2025 budget policy statement, the leaders received or argued that the Kenya's leadership is aiming to oppress Kenyans who are already facing difficult economic times. They've also accused the government of President William Ruto of borrowing unlikely against the promises they gave to Kenyans. However, they called the 2023 Affordable Housing Bill approved in Parliament as a project to choke Kenyans who are on payslips.
Budget policy statement is confirming the tax burden which it set out to increase drastically. One, after going through the Kenya Kwanza's budget policy statement, our position is that the economic proposals, policies and strategies remain flawed and unachievable. As we have always said, this regime is completely irredeemable. Two, if the BPS is anything to go by, Kenyans must be ready to tighten their belts because KK regime is coming after them in a second wave of taxes. Number three, to the ordinary Kenyans, the Mama Boga, Boda Boda riders, and the people of Mjengo, this regime is coming again with a double taxation plan with increased taxes of approximately 27,000 shillings per every adult Kenyan. Number four, it's proposing advanced tax on goods and services supplied to government, VAT on educational services, which means an increase in school fees, and tax on agricultural produce. As a coalition party, we believe that Kenyans will thrive when we cut, not when we increase taxes. But the Affordable Housing Levy Bill 2023 could have been passed in the National Assembly as per the wishes of KK regime. It was largely against the wishes of majority of suffering Kenyans. We therefore commit to protect the interests of Kenyans at all times. Without blinking an eye, the regime went against its promise to reduce borrowing and did the complete opposite. Today, KK regime has borrowed close to 2 trillion shillings in just 1.5 years. Budget policy statement 2024 is high-sounding, vague with promising titles, but only intends to raise expenditures and to spend what we don't even have.
The county public service boards play a significant role in hiring, promoting and disciplining employees at the county level, emphasizing principles like meritocracy, accountability and openness. Now, despite these efforts to balance executive expectations and county assembly scrutiny, challenges persist, including accusations of corruption, resource management and discriminatory employment practices. Kalonzo Musyoka has expressed concerns over governance that extend to national cohesion, with only 10 tribes representing nearly 80% of county employment, while 29 others account for just 1% of work prospects.
We must guarantee that our officers have the appropriate tools, resources, and assistance to be able to carry out their responsibilities successfully and transparently. Notwithstanding these achievements, there are still certain problems that need to be resolved and improve for both the national government and county administrations. Every aspect of our society is impacted by the knock-on effects of bad governance, which range from election malpractice to the weakening of institutional autonomy. Widespread accusations of corruption, resource mismanagement, and discriminatory employment practices exposed in recent publications cast a pall over the values of openness, responsibility, and justice that ought to guide our public institutions. Is the NCIC 2023 audit report, which reviews concerning patterns in employment diversity among Kenya's 47 counties. Only 10 tribes account for nearly 80% of county employment, while 29 other tribes, call them communities, account for just 1% of county work prospects. According to the research, the number of counties complying with national recruitment standards has decreased from 21 in 2016 to just 13 as of 2022.
The Council of Governors has warned that devolution could collapse if the national government continues frustrating devolved units through underfunding. While defending its 450 billion shillings budget allocation for the fiscal year 2024-2025, the county bosses called upon the Senate to defend devolution from what they term as a deliberate clawback aimed at stagnating devolved functions.
The allocation to counties for the financial year 2024-2025 has been revised downwards from 401.6 billion that was in the 2024 draft PPAs to Kenya shillings 391.1 billion out of the total ordinary revenue of 2.948 trillion. The 10.52 billion being allocated as the road maintenance levy fund conditional grant is an ordinary revenue which comes from the fuel levy fund and is not part of ordinary revenue being shared under the division of revenue bill.
Here to address senators, we come to the house that was set up to protect devolution.
There was a somber mood in Kenya's Eldoret City on Thursday as world marathon champion Kelvin Kiptum's coffin was loaded into a car at the hospital mortuary. The 24-year-old and his Rwandese coach Gervais Hakizimana died on 11th February when the car they were traveling in rammed into a tree. Family members, athletes and friends gathered at hospital at the start of a procession to accompany him home. Residents came out in numbers to honor the running star with a cortege crossing the city before traveling to Iten for public viewing. After that, the procession traveled to his parents' home in Chepsamo village, where a night vigil is expected to take place ahead of the main funeral on Friday. President William Ruto and international guests are expected to attend the service, after which Kiptum will be transported to his final resting place at his farm at Naiberi. On Wednesday, a government pathologist revealed that the athlete had died from severe head injuries sustained in the crash.
Ili tuweze kupeana pole zetu na tuweze kukumbuka mwenda zake ambaye alikuwa record holder marathon ambaye anakuwa anaitwa Kelvin Kiptum. Ukiona umati wa watu ambao wamefika siku ya leo hapa na ni saa 2 usiku, ujue kwamba Kelvin Kiptum alipendwa sana na wakazi wa Uasin Gishu. Kwa niaba ya kaunti ya Uasin Gishu tunasema poleni sana kwa familia, poleni Uasin Gishu, tuko pamoja kwa hii majonzi, na tunasema kwamba pia tutajiunga pia kwa upande wa mazishi hadi tuweze kumlaza mwenda zake siku ya Ijumaa.
Tuko hapa leo kama vijana wa Uasin Gishu County kuomboleza mwenzetu ambaye aliaga dunia kutoka accident. Na leo siku ya leo tumetembea hapa Uasin Gishu County kutoka huko pale Baratam tukakuja tukamalizia hapa Koroshot. Na sisi kama viongozi wa YK27 tumekuja kusimama na Kevin Kiptum na vijana wote hapa Uasin Gishu County wameungana nasi. Kutoka kule Elgeyo Marakwet, kutoka kule Nandi wamekuja hapa kuomboleza na sisi ili tuwashe candles kwa kijana mwenzetu.
Tumekuja kusema pole kwa familia, jamaa na marafiki wa Kelvin Kiptum, a young recently ratified world champion. Tunasema pole sana. We send our heartfelt, sincerest condolences to the family, friends and relatives all over.
Now, indeed, tonight, right here in Nairobi County, the KICC has been lit up with the late Kelvin Kiptum's picture in honor of the world marathon record holder who sadly succumbed a few days ago. And so tomorrow will be a busy day in the Eldoret town, at least in Uasin Gishu area or county, where he will be laid to rest. And President William Ruto, among other guests, are expected to attend. So we'll be giving you that wall-to-wall coverage tomorrow. Now, the East Africa Legislative Assembly Member of Parliament, David Ole Sankok, rode off script in Narok during a celebration of life for the late Lucas Cadet, when the legislator supported Raila Odinga's AU bid, saying it was time for the former Prime Minister to retire from local politics. The Yala legislator said the move will pave way for Kenya Kwanza to retain the government in 2027. Now, in a quick rejoinder, ODM Senator Edwin Sifuna has dismissed claims that Odinga's AU bid, if it goes through, will close him off from local politics. The Nairobi senator has said the ODM leader will participate in local politics and will be alive to affairs happening in the country.
Kwa hiyo pia, na I want to reciprocate, pia mimi ndafanya juu chini kuongelesha viongozi wa Afrika mzima, heads of state, ili tuweze kudeport Raila Odinga aende Addis Ababa, ili pia venye mimi niliacha siasa ya kijiji huku nyumbani, local politics, pia nayo Raila Odinga, His Excellency and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga ataweza wachana na local politics, and that you know what it will do to our 2027 political equation.
Kwa hivyo rafiki yangu Sankok, wewe unasema nilikupigia kura uende Arusha, unafanya nini kwa kijiji? Lakini leo kwa sababu umesikia Sifuna amekuja Narok, unatuambia unatuma baba Addis Ababa. Ile muda inachukua kutoka Arusha na barabara kufika hapa ndio the same itachukua baba kutoka Addis Ababa kufika Nairobi kama tuko na maandamano. Mtamuona.
The bill on affordable houses passed by the National Parliament on Wednesday continues to receive mixed feelings among the people in different areas in the country. According to one Philip Inonda, who is a resident of Changamu in Mombasa, he termed the bill fair and says it will benefit him as a law citizen to be able to get a modern house at a cheap price that he can afford. Additionally, some other citizens have opposed that bill. Let's listen in.
Mimi kwanza kabisa mswada ambao umepitishwa jana katika bunge, mimi naunga mkono 100%. Kwa sababu hizi nyumba ambazo zinazungumziwa za bei nafuu zitatufaa sana kama sisi watu wa mapato ya chini na watu ambao wanazihitaji, watu ambao wamekaa wakijua kwamba labda hawezi waka-afford nyumba. Kama sio mimi, mwenzangu ataipata, na kama sio mwenzangu kuna yule mwingine ambaye ataweza kupata ile nyumba na nyumba ambazo wataweza kuzilipia kwa bei ya chini, kwa gharama ya chini.
Hiyo mswada ambao ulipitishwa jana mimi naupinga kabisa. Sababu tunaambiwa ni affordable housing. Na utapata hizo miradi ikiisha utapandishwa bei. Kwa mfano ya Pakistan, nyumba za Pakistan walisema ni affordable house. Sasa mimi mtu wa jua kali na kunalipwa 500 kwa siku, naambiwa nyumba ni 3 milioni, na tuambia affordable house. Itawezekana kweli?
Na mimi naupinga. Na kwa sababu gani naupinga? Na hisi ni kana kwamba wabunge wetu huo mswada wanaujua wao wenyewe. Sisi kama wananchi hatuuelewi wala hatujui. Ni wabunge wetu, lakini hawakuja kwetu mtaani wakatuelezea mswada ni kuhusu nini, na sasa hivi twasikia umepitishwa tu. Sasa sisi
only going to pass because of the issue of job opportunity. We elected you. We given you the power, Mr. President William Samoei Ruto. We respect you, but your advisors are not giving you the right issues. They are not giving you the right details on how people are really finding it on to the ground. This bill is mischievous, Mr. President.
Mimi ni mkazi wa Malandi ambapo pia penye ninakaa ni mojawapo ya maeneo ambayo yamekuwa proposed ya kwamba pia kutakuwa na hiyo project. Sasa wabunge wamepitisha wenyewe kivyao, mswada wenyewe haujafika kwa wananchi wakauelewa, kwa hivyo mimi ninaupinga.
3 people were killed in separate bandit attacks in Baringo North and Marakwet East. The attacks occurred despite efforts by a multi-agency security team to combat banditry in the region. One victim was shot at close range while tending to livestock near Tatia Primary School. In Marakwet East, 2 people were killed and livestock were stolen and driven towards the Titi area. The increasing banditry has sparked protests in Kabaret and Marigat, with locals demanding government intervention to address the escalating violence.
Kuona kwamba ili suluhu ipatikane ni serikali wote kuungana na viongozi, ikiwa ni pande ya security wafanye kazi yao vilivyo, ikiwa ni machiefs, ikiwa ni sisi kama MCS, sisi wote tuungane pamoja ili tupate kupata suluhu.
The leaders, the local leaders have never been talking to each other. You know, they were busy talking to not to each other but at each other through the media, addressing problems of their own local areas through the media.
Taka tuingie pale katika sehemu zetu pale mpaka ya Baringo North na Tiati na tuone hawa wauaji ni kina nani. So hiyo ndio kitu tumesema leo. Kwa kesho tutakuwa pale na tutakuwa na hawa wachungaji wenye wako pale mpaka ya Baringo North na Tiati. Twende tuongee na wao na watuambie ni nini, shida ni gani, shida imetoka wapi, ni nani huyu muuaji, ni nini hii mnasosania.
The National Council of Churches in Kenya, represented by Reverend Dr. Kanga, calls for prioritizing healthy meals in schools. The current situation involves learners not receiving nutritionally balanced diets due to factors like high food costs, weak enforcement of nutrition guidelines, and cultural influences. Government funding for students as well does not cover meals, and there's a lack of oversight on food procurement and quality control. The NCCK urges school meals appoint nutritionists at sub-county levels and expand school feeding programs nationwide. Stakeholders, including parents and local health centers, are encouraged to support schools in addressing the issue despite economic challenges.
Food boards to change their strategies, how they operate, how they allocate money, to make sure that the first and priority in the priority in those allocation should be about food. In county committees, board of management of schools, be it primary, lower primary, those who are in junior high school, we organize ourselves well so that we make sure that every priority becomes our children. That we call upon the government to provide or release this money early enough to take care of our children and especially meals, and increase the area of food, the money meant for food, so that the children will be able to feed and we take care of them as early as possible. Because an hungry child is always an angry child, and a child will not know why he's feeling the way he's feeling. So money should be released early enough and it should be added.
The area of the welfare, and I think that is where feeding of learners falls on. We need to encourage the parents also strongly to come on board and ensure they are supporting the school management to think about this. And also wish to mention that the other stakeholders like local health centers, they should come on board at least to advise and to give us, because truly speaking, the parents and everybody is feeling the pinch.
You are watching EBN TV, transforming your world.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Now, institutions of learning have been urged to exercise caution when hiring or employing unlicensed private security firms or unregistered security guards. Potential penalties include a fine of 2 million shillings or imprisonment. In an effort to address security concerns in learning environments, the government has organized a sensitization meeting attended by heads of security from various educational institutions.
We are here to enforce the law because the safety of our children, the safety of our institutions of higher learning is of utmost priority to this administration. So security vetting is of utmost importance. Number one priority, we shall vet each and every security personnel working in your institutions of higher learning, whether contracted or in-house. If any person who is offering security in your institutions of higher learning without being a holder of a guard force number, or you have contracted a company to provide security in your institutions who are not licensed and registered by the authority, and it's an offense, you will read when you're given the law under section 69, the fine is 2 million shillings or imprisonment.
Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises and Development, Simon Chelugui, says the SACCO sector economy has remained resilient despite the dollar-shilling turbulence. Chelugui confirmed that in the past 1 year, there has been one of the strongest in the cooperatives movement's history, as member deposits tripped over 1 trillion shillings for the first time. In addition to this, total assets held by cooperatives grew to 1.5 trillion. According to Chelugui, the government's banks on key regulations to streamline the sector and spur its economic growth. Now, some of the key laws include the Cooperative Bill 2023 approved by Cabinet and currently awaiting completion of parliamentary and Senate processes. Another law is the proposed legal amendments to the SACCO Societies Act number 14 of 2018, allowing for the operationalization of the Deposit Guarantee Fund approved by the Cabinet and provided for in the Finance Act 2023. To strengthen the sector, Chelugui further reiterated that SACCOs and cooperative member contributions countrywide will be well protected through proper laws and reforms the government is undertaking.
The non-remittance by various employers and institutions has come down. We began with about 5 billion shillings about 2 years ago. Today we are talking about 2.4 billion. So we have reduced by half. And what we do is we write letters, we engage the SACCOs and employers, we visit them, our officers visit them and engage with those employers. And where we have challenges, the Commission has powers to even veto or what we call agency. They can do agency notice on certain employers, and the bank accounts can be closed by the Commission of Cooperatives if they don't cooperate. The bills are at the final stages of signing. That is the cabinet memo, and we are left with 2 signatures, and then we submit to cabinet, bring it to parliament. So that is the stage where we are, and that's our normal process of policy, regulation and laws.
He has assured us that the government is committed to support cooperatives in different value chain. It could be on dairy cooperatives, coffee cooperatives, we are reviving cotton cooperatives, and that all these value chains we are geared towards changing the lives of the people. He has said we have grown our deposits by 10% in spite of the bad economic situation we have been in. However, we are saying we have the potential. The Kenyan people are resilient. We are hardworking people. We have
benefit with a total of 26 markets, 22 small markets worth 50 million shillings. Zanga Market, Kiambaa, Member of Parliament Njuguna Kawanjiku, said it's the aim of the national government to make sure it creates job opportunities and a conducive environment for traders through construction of the markets. He also clarified that the national government is set to construct the markets all over, and once they're done, hand over the markets to the county government for revenue collection, saying they have no differences with Kiambu County Governor, as he has his funds from the county revenue and the national government, and he decides on what projects to prioritize.
Watu ambao wamekuwa wakichomeka ni hawa wale watu tumekuwa tukiita mama boga, maana hao ndio watakuwa wanauzia katika hii soko. Imejengwa, itakuwa na ICT hub, itakuwa na social hall, itakuwa na mahali panasing pa watu wetu, na pia kwa sababu huu mradi ni wa shilingi milioni 50, tunataka kuhakikisha ya kwamba watu ambao wanaobahati kama wanaosaidika ni wakaaji wa ile area ambao hiyo soko inaojengwa. Sisi tumesema ya kwamba raia ndio wenye shamba. So sisi tumetafuta pesa ya kujenga soko ya kusaidia wakaaji wa hapa kwetu.
Tumekaa na yeye pamoja na watu yake, komiti yake, tukasema wale ambao walikuwa kwa hii soko hawa ndio watarudi pale. Na kama kuna watu wengine wataingia, lazima tukae chini na hii komiti pamoja na chairman, tuseme wale wataingia, hii komiti lazima ikuwe inahusika. Katika hii soko ya Ting'ang'a, hapo juu itakuwa ya ghorofa 2. Hapo juu tutakuwa na kitu inaitwa ICT hub. Hiyo ni kusema kwamba kutakuwa na vijana na wasichana wetu ambao wako hapa ambao wanataka kufanya kazi, watakuwa wakiwa pale na kompyuta na watakuwa wakifanya kazi ya Amerika wakiwa hapa Kenya.
Now, spouse to the County Governor of Kakamega, Professor Janet Kasilili Barasa, has asked parents of the county to take responsibility for the upbringing of their children in order to reduce cases of early pregnancy among them. This is happening while the cases of early pregnancies in Kakamega County have decreased from 14,000 last year to 9,000. Now, giving a speech at Kakamega Diversity College, the wife of the county governor emphasized the importance of parents in the county to provide good education and counseling to their children to control childhood pregnancies, while expressing appreciation for the efforts made to deal with the epidemic.
Mwaka uliopita tulikuwa na wasichana 14,000 ambao walikuwa wamepata mimba za mapema Kakamega County. Na hiyo ndio ilinifanya mimi nikasikia uchungu kama mzazi, kama mwalimu na kama first lady, kwamba nipunguze hii idadi ya wasichana wanaopata mimba za mapema. And that's why I took it upon myself to start the initiative of a helping hand to teen mothers, ambapo nilichukua wasichana 60 kutoka kila wodi ya Kakamega County tukawarudisha shule. Kuna wale wako secondary school na wale wako polytechnic. Na yule wa polytechnic mmemwona, si ndio? So wale wako secondary school wanaendelea na masomo yao, and we thank God the partners have been helping us to do that. Leo tuko hapa for the second launch of the second cohort of our ambassadors. So wasichana, leo tuko hapa kuwahamasisha. Tumewarudisha shule. Take this opportunity and use it very well. Lakini ningependa muwe ambassadors. Muambie wasichana wengine your age kwamba mimba za mapema ni mbaya. So my taking you back to school is not encouraging many more girls to get pregnant. But I'm using you as ambassadors to speak to the teen girls and tell them about the negative impacts of teen pregnancy. Because teen pregnancy comes with many other challenges. Utapata hiyo mimba, utapata ugonjwa wa HIV and AIDS, utapata STDs, utapata fistula, utapata cancer na magonjwa mengine mengi. And remember, you're taking care of yourself and the baby. So for you as ambassadors, please help me speak to the whole world about the effects of teen pregnancy. But as we are back in school right now, tumia nafasi hii vizuri.
Death toll from the accident at Nyalunya rises to 9, and 2 more people have succumbed to injuries, bringing the total to 9 casualties. 9 other patients are undergoing treatment at Jaramogi Oginga Teaching Teaching and Referral Hospital. Now, county disaster response officers have disputed earlier police reports stating 7 people died at the scene, with 2 resuscitated, but 1 later passed away. Among the casualties are 2 babies, an 11-year-old and others with minor injuries, though 1 has a severe head injury receiving intensive care.
1 passed on in the hospital and 1 was brought in dead. So we remained with 9 patients, 2 babies, 11-year-old and another one 1-year-old. They had very minor injuries, except the fact that 1 had an head injury, and our health workers were doing everything possible in order to restore their health.
Yesterday when we reached the scene, we found the wreckage of the 2 vehicles, that's the lorry and the matatu, and later we moved to the morgue where we found 7 bodies lying down dead, and the 7 bodies included a minor of 11 months old and 2 females and 4 other males, giving us a total number of 7 that we found at the morgue at Nyakach, Papunditi.
Now to sports, a Spanish court on Thursday sentenced former Brazilian international Dani Alves to 4.5 years in prison after finding him guilty of raping a young woman at a Barcelona nightclub in December 2022. It also ordered the 3-time Champions League winner to 5 years probation after he serves his jail term, and demanded he pays 150,000 euros in compensation to the victim. Prosecutors had called for a 9-year jail sentence for the 40-year-old, followed by 10 years of probation. Alves, who testified at his trial that the sexual intercourse with the woman was consensual, can appeal. One of the world's most decorated football players who played for Barcelona and PSG during a storied career, Alves went on trial earlier this month on charges of raping a woman at the Saturn nightclub in the early hours of December 31st, 2022. Arsenal was stunned as Galeno scored in stoppage time to give Porto the advantage from the first leg of their Champions League last 16 tie. The Brazilian winger took a few touches to set himself before curling a wonderful finish into the net past the despairing full-stretch dive of David Raya. Now, Sergio Conceição's home side should have been ahead at the break after Galeno hit a shot off the post and somehow put the rebound wide. That was a huge let-off for Arsenal, but Galeno made no mistake in the 4th added minute at the end of the game.